Well now, let me tell you a tale about a fella named President Biden and his visit to the land of Israel. It was a day like no other, right in the midst of a stormy situation in the Middle East. The president, he stood tall beside the folks of Israel, saying loud and clear that they weren't the ones to blame for that terrible explosion at a hospital in Gaza, which folks said took the lives of hundreds. The president, he made this claim right here in Tel Aviv, while the whole region was churning with trouble. He spoke his words after meeting with the folks affected by that October 7th Hamas attack in Israel and them poor souls who were being held captive by them militants. From the info we've seen today, it looks like it was a stray rocket fired by them terrorists in Gaza, he said. The United States, it stands firm for protecting the lives of innocent folks in times of conflict. And my heart aches for them families hurt by this tragedy, he added. Before all that, he mentioned that his decision was based on data handed to him by the U.S. Defense Department. Then, there was a lady named Adrienne Watson, talking about this on X, which they used to call Twitter. She said, "While we're still gathering info, what we've got now, from looking at images from above, intercepts, and public sources, it looks like Israel ain't the one responsible for that hospital explosion in Gaza. This hospital explosion, it sure put a hitch in the president's plans, even before he left Washington. It tangled up his efforts to show fairness, supporting Israel while also saying he cares about them Palestinian folks. Since that hospital got wrecked on Tuesday, with the Palestinian authorities saying it took the lives of hundreds, both Israel and the U.S. have been catching all kinds of blame and anger across the Middle East. What they say about that Palestinian militant group causing the blast might not hold much weight with them Arab protesters. Biden had a plan to head to Jordan to meet with them Arab leaders after stopping in Israel, but just as Air Force One was rolling down that tarmac outside Washington, the White House folks told reporters that the Jordan trip was canceled due to all the anger in the Arab world. Right after landing in Israel, Biden, while chatting with Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu, said he was deeply sad and mighty upset about what happened. "From what I've seen, it looks like the other team did it, not you," he told the Israeli leader. Biden came to Israel right in the middle of a war zone, a time when Israel was gearing up for a ground invasion into Gaza in response to a nasty surprise from Hamas that took over 1,300 lives. Israel's been launching airstrikes left and right, and the death toll keeps on rising as they do. All of this is making it real tough for the administration to try and stop this war from turning into a bigger mess across the region. Them Palestinian and Israeli folks, they're pointing fingers about who's to blame for that blast at Al-Ali Hospital, and it sure looks like it caused more civilian deaths than anything else since this fight began. The rage about that hospital is spreading all across the Middle East. Over in Amman, Biden was supposed to talk to the leaders of Jordan, Egypt, and the Palestinian Authority about the conflict and getting help to them folks in Gaza. The White House says Biden will keep talking to them leaders, but canceling that meeting was a setback for the president's aim to support Israel and protect them Palestinian civilians, and to stop this war from spreading. Israel's laid a full-on siege on Gaza, which is packed with more than 2 million souls. They've cut off the food, fuel, water, and power. They told over 1 million folks in Gaza to clear out in 24 hours, but the United Nations says it's impossible. Gaza's already a hard place to live, and things are getting worse fast, creating a real crisis. The White House folks are trying to open a path for aid to get to Gaza. This here trip to Israel, it's the second time this year that Biden's gone to a place at war. First, he made a secret visit to Kyiv back in February. Before that, no U.S. president had ever been to a war zone where American troops weren't fighting and could protect him. Over in Israel, them rocket sirens are wailing all over, warning folks to find shelter. Since Biden landed, they've heard them sirens near the Gaza border at least twice. Now, these kinds of trips, they come with their own set of dangers, and White House Press Secretary Karine Jean-Pierre, she told reporters, "We know the risks, but the president knows how important it is to have these talks to get things done." During his meeting with Israel's War Council, Biden once again condemned the attack by Hamas, saying it's almost beyond belief. He promised that the U.S. will keep standing with Israel. "You're not alone," he told them. "We'll have your back as you defend your people." Netanyahu, he's got a long history with Biden, but today, he praised the president for coming to Israel during these tough times. "For the folks of Israel, there's nothing better than having a true friend like you right here," Netanyahu said. Your visit is the first time an American president's been to Israel in a time of war, and it means a whole lot. It shows how much you're committed to Israel. There are them billboards in Tel Aviv, in English no less, welcoming Biden. Later on, Netanyahu said that Hamas, they're doing a double war crime every day, hiding behind Palestinian folks while causing harm to the Israelis. He said Hamas is using the civilian population like shields. This war is different, cause Hamas is a different kind of enemy, Netanyahu said. While Israel's trying to keep civilian casualties down, Hamas is trying to make them as high as possible. They want to hurt as many Israelis as they can, and they don't care a bit about Palestinian lives. After talking to them top Israeli folks, Biden's got plans to meet with the first responders and them families hurt by Hamas's attack. Before landing in Tel Aviv, John Kirby, who speaks for the White House, said Biden's got some tough questions for the Israelis about their plans for the weeks ahead, including the ground invasion into Gaza. He said, "We're not here to run the show for the Israeli Defense Forces, but when I say tough questions, I mean honest questions a good friend of Israel would ask about where they're headed and what they're planning." Abutaleb, he reported this from Washington.